Hello everyone, and welcome to Mr. Simplifies Tutorials. In this tutorial we're going to look at the concept of a TOWS analysis, understand how a TOWS analysis is run, and then look at an example to get all of that clarified for you. So what is a TOWS analysis? TOWS actually stands for the same thing that SWOT does: threats, opportunities, weaknesses and strengths, but a TOWS analysis is actually different to a SWOT analysis. A TOWS can actually be considered to be an extension of a SWOT analysis. Now, to understand the difference between SWOT and TOWS, let's look at a typical strategic planning process. Now, in broad terms, the goal of a strategic planning process is to change or amend the organization's strategy or the planning process. Now, changing how things work in the organization is central to this. To start the process, we identify what we need to change or what needs improving in the organization. Now, it's important to understand that identifying the what's is critical to identifying the how's. Unless we identify what's wrong or what needs changing, we cannot start with the process of how that change will be implemented. These actually will be our strategic objectives, which will be a part of our mission statement. Okay, we would then need to gather data on how things change, where things stand at the moment. Central to this analysis is running a SWOT analysis to understand the internal factors that affect how things work in the organization, alongside the external environment where the company operates. A SWOT analysis therefore helps in summarizing critical data by categorizing strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And now that we have this data at hand, we need to devise strategies to get the company moving in the direction we require it to move. And this is where a TOWS analysis actually comes into the picture. It helps us use the data from the SWOT analysis to actually devise strategies for us to move the company in the direction where we want it to move. Okay, so the outcomes of a TOWS analysis would be to try and make the most of our strengths, to work around our weaknesses, to capitalize on available opportunities, and manage any identified threats. These are the actual outcomes of a TOWS analysis once a SWOT analysis has been conducted. Okay, now how is a TOWS actually carried out? As we understand, we have to run a SWOT analysis on the project first, and once that is done, we actually lay out the TOWS grid as shown in the graphic as follows, using the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that have been identified from the SWOT. Okay, so essentially the factors identified and categorized through a SWOT are firstly arranged so that the internal factors are on one side and the external factors are on the other. Now, the areas that overlap two factors is where you devise the actual implementation strategies, and that is what constitutes the TOWS analysis grid. Now, the interjection of strengths and opportunities will contain what we call maxi strategies. The interjection of weaknesses and threats will contain mini strategies. The interjection of strengths and threats will contain maxi strategies, and the interjection of weaknesses and opportunities will contain maxi strategies. Now, there are a few people who get confused between maxi and maxi, how to place them, where to place them. People get confused about it. So a good way for students to remember which ones are maxi and which ones are maxi would be to remember that whenever strengths are in the picture, the word maxi always comes first. Okay, so maxi and maxi both have strengths in common, so this will help you differentiate maxi from maxi. We will look at an example shortly, and that will clarify all of this for you. Now, the strategic options are as follows. So essentially, combining strengths and opportunities gives you maxi strategies. And what are the aim of these strategies? The aim of these strategies will be to use the strengths to exploit the opportunities that are presented. Combining strengths and threats gives you maxi mini strategies, and the aim of these strategies will be to use the strength to reduce the impact of the expected threats. And combining weaknesses and opportunities gives you mini maxi, and the aim of these strategies will be to use the opportunities to overcome the potential weaknesses. Combining weaknesses and threats gives you mini strategies, and the aim of these strategies will be to minimize weaknesses and to avoid threats as much as possible. Okay, now let's look at an example here to get all of this clarified for you. The example that we're going to look at is the company Nike. Now, Nike is a global leader in the sports industry, and we're all very familiar with Nike as a company. Now, to run a TOWS on Nike, we actually need to start with a SWOT, as we understand. And we have presented here to you a simplified version of the SWOT analysis to begin with, and then run a TOWS analysis on Nike. Now, the strengths of Nike as a company is that it's a market leader. It's got a global market, and it also sponsors renowned athletes the world over. These are some of the strengths. Now, in terms of weaknesses, the profits derived by Nike are heavily dependent on footwear sales. And then there are also occasional complaints across the world owing to poor working conditions in certain Nike factories. Okay, so these are the weaknesses. And then in terms of opportunities, there is a global increase in the awareness of health and the benefits of being healthy, and that has led to the popularity of sports to increase. And also there's an opportunity of online sales increasing overall all across the world. Okay, the threats are competitors catching up and innovating and grabbing more of that market leader position, more of the pie of the market leader position that Nike occupies. And then also Nike is at a high price point, so there's also that threat that other people can sell their goods cheaper and encroach upon their market. Now, what would be the combination of strengths and opportunities, the maxi strategies? Nike would try and run health awareness campaigns to boost sales and increase and also increase their focus on online sales. So they're trying their best to exploit the opportunity of increasing online sales, and also trying to increase the awareness of the brand Nike being available as a leader in the sports sector, as there is an increase in the popularity of sports in general. Okay, now what would be the mini-maxi strategies? One of the key mini-maxi strategies would be to focus more on non-footwear items online, and therefore reduce the dependence on footwear sales and try and promote other commodities that Nike sells. Now, what would be some of the maxi mini strategies, which are the combination or the interjection of strengths and threats? So an increased focus on reputation and quality to stay ahead of the competition. So they're going to try and increase their focus on their brand reputation and their quality, and then therefore retain the higher price bracket, continue to be in that higher price bracket. They can also continue sponsoring leading athletes, and then also, make sense of that high price level that they're at for customers. What would be the mini strategies, which is the interjection of weaknesses and threats? Invest in newer ideas before the competition does. So this is always a good idea to keep investing in newer technologies, to keep investing in newer ideas and try and pip the competition. Work on further improving working conditions and reputation. This is extremely important because reputation plays a massive role in how loved a brand is overall, and how much people actually value having Nike on their footwear, on their clothing, etc. And it goes a long way in ensuring that they have a weakness and a threat under control. So they're getting around a weakness, and they're actually minimizing the possibility of a threat. Okay, so now that we've looked at an example, let's actually look at the strengths and the weaknesses of the actual TOWS analysis, or the advantages and disadvantages of running one. Okay, now the advantages are that a TOWS analysis is quite simple to use. You don't actually require any technical expertise to use this analysis. It educates an organization on the internal and the external factors that affect them, and it does so better than a SWOT analysis does. It actually establishes a connection between the various factors instead of just identifying the factors in isolation. A TOWS also works well with most other types of analysis, like a Porter's 5 forces model or a PESTLE analysis, etc., to provide a good insight on the current health of an organization. So, very important point. Now, in terms of the disadvantages of a TOWS analysis, the analysis can actually be subjective, and a lot of what comes out of the analysis depends on the people actually running the analysis. Their perspective is extremely important in the analysis. It becomes extremely important, and it also exposes the analysis to personal interest and bias of the people running the analysis. Also, the analysis can get rather complicated. Now, it is important to actually limit the number of factors identified in each section of the SWOT analysis to about 4 or 5 factors, because the more the number of factors identified in the SWOT, the more the number of factors will be in the TOWS, and it can start becoming extremely cumbersome, and it can actually lose the specificity. Although it is important to understand that as specific, it's important to get as specific as possible with your analysis, and especially when it comes to the actual strategies. If the strategies are rather ambiguous, it's not actually going to help move the company in the right direction, which is one of the intentions of using a TOWS analysis. Okay, I hope that was helpful for you, and that TOWS analysis was actually simplified for you. I thank you very much for your attendance to this tutorial, and I would like to encourage you to use the comment section as always to recommend further tutorial topics. Like this content, share this content on a regular basis, and yeah, keep up your healthy aspirations, and I hope you take care of yourself and your family. Thank you very much once again. Take care.